There's a quiet, piercing moment, irreversible, when a person stops hoping the world will finally understand them. It isn't dramatic. There's no audience, no applause, just silence. The kind of silence that settles into your bones when you realize no one is coming to fix it. No one is lying awake at night, carrying your pain. And in that silence, something ancient wakes up. A strength that doesn't beg, doesn't explain, and doesn't need to be seen. That's the moment you stop performing and start becoming. Because the world may be indifferent, but you don't have to be powerless. The Stoics understood this long before us. They believed real power begins when expectations die. And in that death, your real life begins. Most people carry a quiet fantasy that their suffering is visible. That if they just hurt enough, someone will step in. That maybe, if they say it the right way, someone will finally understand. It's a soft hope, deeply ingrained into how we're raised. If I'm in pain, the world will care. But life happens. Pain is ignored. Tears go unnoticed. The phone stays silent. And that's when something shifts. You start to see the illusion for what it really is. Not a reflection of your worth, but a reflection of how consumed people are by their own chaos. Everyone is battling something you'll never fully see, just as they'll never fully see yours. And if you build your identity around being seen, you'll spend your life feeling invisible. That quiet ache of being overlooked, that isn't cruelty. That's reality. And if you look closely, it might be trying to teach you something. When we're young, we believe pain deserves recognition. We think suffering earns comfort. But life doesn't hand out medals for endurance. It doesn't send angels when you're on your knees. It just moves on. People scroll. Friends forget. Not out of malice, but because they're drowning too. Harsh doesn't mean untrue. And here's the twist. That realization, painful as it is the first step toward freedom. Because once you stop expecting the world to respond to your pain, you stop waiting. You stop freezing your life, hoping someone will notice you're stuck. You begin to move without applause. Carl Jung once said, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you don't know, the world will tell you." What experience teaches you is this. Most people don't ask because they care. They ask so they can place you into a box that makes sense to them. They don't see you. They see their idea of you. And when you stop performing for that gaze, you finally start living for something real. There's a quiet sorrow in realizing you're not the main character in anyone's story but your own. But that isn't rejection, it's gravity. No one owes you understanding. No one is required to hold your hand through the fog. And yes, the world feels colder when you accept that. But your inner world burns brighter. Because now, you're the one lighting the fire. The Stoics didn't find strength by avoiding pain. They found it by refusing to outsource their healing. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors." In other words, stop hoping someone else will name your wounds and give you value. The more you chase being seen, the less you see yourself. But when you let go of the need to be witnessed, you begin building something indestructible. Not because you become harder, but because you become clearer. Epictetus said it plainly. Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it. And that's what happens when you stop needing validation. You stop narrating your pain. You stop broadcasting your wounds. You carry them differently, not as a burden, but as proof that you kept going. Maybe being overlooked wasn't the tragedy you thought it was. Maybe it was the beginning, the quiet death of illusion and the birth of something real. When no one listens, something unexpected happens. You start listening to yourself, not the surface voice, the one shaped by expectations, but the quieter one underneath, the one you ignored because it couldn't compete with noise. And in the absence of applause, silence grows roots. Self-reliance doesn't arrive as confidence. It arrives disguised as loneliness. You wake up one day and realize no one's checking in. And instead of collapsing, you start building. Not because others believe in you, but because you decided to stop waiting. That's where real power begins. Not in being chosen, but in choosing yourself. If this message resonates with you, if you're ready to stop chasing validation and start cultivating inner strength, consider subscribing to Stoic Path to Happiness, not as content consumption, but as a quiet vow to yourself, a step toward discipline, clarity, and self-respect. Because here, we don't chase the world's applause. We build what the world can't ignore.